China's embrace of capitalism has been spectacular. It's become the world's largest exporter and second largest importer. The latest World Trade Organization figures, which cover 2020, show China had exports worth $2.6 trillion and total imports worth $2.1 trillion. That gives China a healthy trade surplus of more than $500 billion. Foreign trade is worth around 35% of GDP, so it's vital to the country. China's biggest trading partner is the U.S., followed by the EU and ASEAN members. Trade covers a vast spectrum, but electronics and electrical equipment made up around 27% of both imports and exports in 2020, according to the World Bank. Shirley, let me go to you. So all eyes now are on the annual Central Economic Work Conference. That's the meeting in which Chinese leaders gather to set up the next year's economic agenda, as it were. Any indication or any idea as to what might come out of that?
It has to refocus on economic growth. The key word is really stabilization. It is to stabilizing growth, stabilize jobs, and stabilize prices. As Professor correctly pointed out, inflation is rather low in China, so that really offers quite a lot of economic levers for China to revitalize the economy via fiscal and monetary stimulus. And so we are going to see the world's two largest economies moving in opposite monetary and fiscal cycles in the foreseeable future. However, as China continues to stimulate through monetary and the fiscal injections, I think that's going to continue to pose some resilience to the inflation problem in the Western world, and particularly adding policy difficulties to the Fed as well. However, the trade, as you correctly mentioned, Mohammed, continues to grow despite 2022, the very difficult COVID situations. And I think China is going to continue to vie for becoming not only the world's largest exporter, but the world's largest importer. However, when it comes to GDP computation, it is really the net trade, the net export rather, that matters. And so that really trade represents a rather small part of China's GDP today. Consumption, contrarily, represents about 65% of China's GDP before COVID. And so the real key revitalization for the Chinese economy is going to have to ultimately come from consumption, from consumers willing to spend, feeling hopeful about the future and gaining their jobs back.